a family of hungry raccoons. He took full responsibility for leading Corey and Jacob into the minor misadventure, expressing profound relief that no one was seriously injured in the thorny bushes. Despite the loss of his agricultural masterpiece, Ricky remained remarkably optimistic. He announced that his grand celebration was still proceeding exactly as planned, and he still required the massive order of root beer from Bubbles. He promised that the upcoming announcement was entirely unrelated to his ruined garden and was, in fact, something far more significant and life-changing. He assured his skeptical friends and family that the news would be a monumental surprise that would fill their hearts with joy. Meanwhile, at the local community center, Mr. Leahy and his loyal companion Randy were finally completing their mandated hours of voluntary community service. They had spent the past several weeks organizing charitable events and cleaning the local parks following a minor misunderstanding with the municipal zoning board. As they prepared to leave, they were approached by an official named Ted, who handed them a surprisingly large official envelope. Ted explained that due to a highly unusual administrative error regarding a recent civic fund, a large sum of money had been incorrectly allocated. Rather than returning the funds to the complex bureaucratic system where they would be lost in endless paperwork, Ted had arranged for a portion of the money to be quietly distributed to community volunteers as a gesture of goodwill and appreciation. Mr. Leahy and Randy were astonished by the unexpected financial windfall. They understood that this generous gift was meant to encourage their continued good behavior and quiet cooperation. They graciously accepted the funds, promising to use the money responsibly to rebuild their lives. As they walked away from the community center, feeling the warm breeze of freedom against their faces, they discussed their newly acquired wealth. Randy suggested that they use the funds to completely resolve their past financial disagreements with Julian, hoping to finally establish a peaceful and harmonious relationship within the trailer park. Mr. Leahy, however, proposed a slightly more adventurous plan. He suggested that they invest a small portion of the money in the local equestrian sporting events, trusting his keen intuition to multiply their wealth before presenting a grand, peaceful offering to Julian. They agreed to keep their financial success a closely guarded secret until the perfect moment arrived. Back at the trailer park, Ricky was proudly displaying his newest architectural creation. He had spent weeks meticulously constructing an elaborate, multi-level wooden patio deck attached to his humble trailer. He enthusiastically guided Corey and Jacob through the various features of his new domain. He showed off a perfectly organized outdoor kitchen area, a comfortable seating arrangement with a modern entertainment system, and a specially designed sleeping area for his beloved grandson. He pointed out the intricate details he had crafted by hand, including a custom lighting system and a set of sturdy, handmade wooden chairs. He beamed with pride, declaring that he felt as though he were living like royalty in his newly upgraded home. His friends marveled at the impressive craftsmanship, complimenting Ricky on his remarkable dedication and skill. However, the conversation soon shifted back to the highly anticipated announcement. Ricky asked his friends for their creative input, admitting that he wanted his presentation to be incredibly grand and unforgettable. He rejected their initial comical suggestions of arriving in a massive construction vehicle or running for a high political office. He wanted something romantic, something that would clearly demonstrate the depth of his affection for Susan. Jacob, struck by a sudden burst of inspiration, suggested that Ricky incorporate a majestic animal into his proposal. Ricky loved the idea immediately. He reasoned that presenting his future wife with a beautiful, noble creature would be the ultimate romantic gesture. After dismissing the wildly impractical idea of acquiring an exotic snow tiger, they agreed that a beautiful, elegant horse would be the perfect choice. Ricky envisioned himself gently leading the majestic animal through the crowd, a symbol of his enduring love and commitment. He thanked his friends profusely for their brilliant suggestion, feeling an overwhelming sense of excitement for the upcoming evening. The afternoon sun began to dip lower in the sky, signaling the start of the grand celebration. The residents of the trailer park gathered in the central square, their faces illuminated by strings of colorful festive lights. The atmosphere was filled with joyful laughter and the sweet, melodic sounds of upbeat music playing from large wooden speakers. Bubbles had set up a beautiful dispensing station for his Green Guardian root beer, and the community eagerly enjoyed the refreshing, artisanal beverage. Even Donnie, the notoriously grumpy resident who frequently complained about minor inconveniences, seemed to be in remarkably good spirits, enjoying a complimentary beverage and tapping his foot to the rhythmic music. Ricky took his place at the front of the gathered crowd, holding a small microphone. He welcomed everyone with a wide, genuine smile, thanking them for joining him on this incredibly special occasion. He spoke passionately about his journey, acknowledging the challenges he had faced and the immense gratitude he felt for the unwavering support of his friends and neighbors. He then signaled for Corey and Jacob to bring forward the grand surprise. From behind a nearby building, Corey and Jacob carefully led a magnificent, gentle horse adorned with a beautiful, decorative ribbon. The crowd gasped in collective astonishment at the unexpected and beautiful sight. Ricky proudly announced that he had acquired this wonderful animal as a special gift for the absolute love of his life, Susan. He declared his intention to ask for her hand in marriage, right there in front of their cherished community. Bubbles and Julian watched the spectacle with a mixture of shock and deep concern. Bubbles quickly approached Ricky, gently advising him that a lavish gift was entirely unnecessary if their love was truly genuine. He reminded Ricky that a successful marriage was built on mutual respect, understanding, and shared values, rather than grand, theatrical gestures. He softly pointed out that Ricky and Susan often experienced significant communication challenges and fundamentally different approaches to daily life. He urged his friend to carefully reconsider the magnitude of this sudden decision. Ricky listened to his friend's wise words, a flicker of doubt crossing his mind. He realized that Bubbles was speaking from a place of deep, unconditional love and concern. He acknowledged that perhaps the horse was a slightly extravagant choice, but he defended his pure intentions, explaining that he merely wanted to demonstrate the vast scale of his affection. He believed that their strong emotional bond could overcome any minor disagreements. Just as Ricky finished his heartfelt defense, Susan arrived at the gathering. She looked beautiful, but her expression was uncharacteristically serious. She approached Ricky, gently taking his hands in hers. Instead of a joyous acceptance, she spoke with a quiet, emotional clarity that silenced the surrounding crowd. She explained that she cared for Ricky deeply, but over the past few weeks, she had come to a profound realization. She eloquently described how their personalities, while deeply attracted to one another, were fundamentally moving in completely different directions. She spoke of her desire for a quiet, highly structured life, while acknowledging Ricky's wonderful, chaotic, and spontaneous spirit. She bravely admitted that their frequent, intense disagreements were not merely passionate debates, but clear indicators of their deep incompatibility. She told him that remaining together would only prevent them both from finding the true, peaceful happiness they deserved. With a gentle, tearful smile, she released his hands and told him that they needed to end their romantic relationship, not out of anger, but out of a profound, mutual respect for their individual futures. Ricky stood in stunned silence, absorbing the weight of her honest and compassionate words. He looked into her eyes and saw the undeniable truth in her statement. There was no anger, no theatrical argument, only a quiet, mutual understanding that their journey together had reached its natural conclusion. He nodded slowly, a single tear escaping his eye, and softly agreed that she was right. He thanked her for her honesty and for the beautiful moments they had shared. Susan offered a final, warm embrace before turning and walking peacefully away from the gathering, leaving Ricky surrounded by the quiet, supportive presence of his closest friends. Julian and Bubbles immediately stepped forward, placing comforting hands on Ricky's shoulders. They offered words of solace, assuring him that this difficult transition was ultimately for the best. They reminded him that true love should bring peace and stability, rather than constant emotional turbulence. Ricky took a deep breath, the initial sting of heartbreak slowly giving way to a profound sense of clarity.